So, Andy, welcome. Thanks for doing this. It's great.
No problem. I'm honoured.
So far, I'm up to 36 people, which is brilliant.
Wow.
Andy, what are you doing? How are you coping with this new world of ours?
Really, no, I've been quite strangely. I've been able to fill my days quite a lot with lots of little things, but I don't feel. I was thinking about it the other day. I'm not doing one particular task. I've got loads of decorating to do, which is a bit boring maybe, but so I'm doing that. And then I have started to think about making like my own projects and thinking about how to do that. But it seems that all my tripods are missing the little bit that connects to the camera.
Oh, do you know where they are? They're in the you've left them in the bottom of the camera.
Still there?
Classic. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
You'll find them all in the bottom of the camera because nobody ever takes them out.
Probably, yeah. I definitely, I think I sent one back to Jonathan Hearn by mistake, and he's now lost it.
I'll never see that again. I thought it'd be a good place to start with you because you're a very busy man usually when this isn't taking place.
Yeah.
And you're the kind of person that if you're not busy, then I start getting worried. There's two people. There's Andy and there's Tim O'Connell, who's nestling down there in a window too. So if those two people aren't busy, then we've got something to worry about, which is obviously what's happening now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a series of projects all lined up, or pencils and stuff, and they all just started to drop off one by one. And I was just, I haven't really, I've been very lucky to be honest. I've never had like this void sort of stretching out ahead of me before.
Well, you're not unique, obviously, in that. So how many things disappeared? Like loads of stuff.
I had 3 projects disappear, and then one got pushed back till June, and then it's been pushed back to mid-July now. But hopefully that will still go ahead, the July one. But
yeah,
that was a Netflix job, so I'm hoping that one goes ahead. But
most people on here know you already, but some of you don't. So for the benefit of those that don't, I just thought be good to ask you, how did you get to this stage, being like 10 years in, more than that, into your...
Yeah, a few more. I probably started animated in 2006, and actually the person I'm going to embarrass him now, the person I kind of owe this to is Simon Quinn, because
he's just sitting next to me.
He's just sitting next to you. Yeah. Oh, really? He's right there. Okay.
He's
because
right there.
I was at I went to university like a lot of people do, and I basically did work experience on Fireman Salmon, which Simon Quinn was the line producer, and I kept going back. And I guess they liked me. I think I was quite quiet, maybe. I'm not sure. I must have made some kind of impression, but they got me back as a runner basically on Hannah's Helpline. And then him and Tom Edgar, who I think might be on the call as well, they kind of pushed for me to be get an animation position. And my friend Henry, who was at university with, took my job. But
where was university?
Sorry, I went to Newport, which isn't the prettiest of places, but at the time it had quite a good animation course. Actually, the campus is now the set for Sex Education, if you've seen that on Netflix at all.
Oh, I know.
So it's quite a pretty campus. It's a nice place. Big red brick building.
Yeah.
But, so I was on Hannah's Helpline for a while as an animator then, and then sort of I say that's where I really kind of started to learn how to properly animate, to be honest. Learning stuff there were people like Grant Maisie, Tom Edgar, obviously, Ben Halliwell. There were people that had done a lot of series animation. And so I really kind of learned how to be quick and sort of animate to a reasonably good standard. And then Simon Quinn then left to go to Fantastic Mr. Fox. And I basically just followed him, and he gave me, I see it that Simon gave me those 2 breaks, one on Hannah's Helpline and one on Fantastic Mr. Fox. And Fantastic Mr. Fox really exploded everything, really.
Gary Welsh has just turned up. You're late, Gary. Sorry. It's 11 minutes past 2. So what surprised me, I suppose, when I got to know you, is probably like 4 or 5 years ago, right? I guess. I mean, I knew of you, obviously,
Yeah.
your legendary status before then, but
Okay. Very kind.
actually, like, yeah, probably on Matt Sainsbury's job. But you sort of progressed quite quickly from series to feature, because that took. I mean, it's just sign of the times and what was going on, I guess. But it took a lot of us a lot longer to hit the dizzying height.
Yeah, I think I broke into that, and it's because yeah, I mean, Simon really gave me that job as an assistant animator on Fox, and I just really wanted to show the people that didn't know me that I could animate, and I could animate well.
Yeah.
And so I remember being given, I think I was given a block to do, or a test of Mr. Fox turning over in bed that Brian Hansen would later animate. But I just thought I'd animate it and just go for it. So I had like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and because I guess I'm reasonably fast from doing serious stuff, I was able to do it. And
that I wanted to ask you about that, because I think I'll tell you my view in a second, but do you think that's been lost now, that series training thing? Because I basically do, like in camera and animation, because there's so, compared to the past, there seem to be much less stop frames.
Well, there's definitely a lot less now, which is, I mean, they're all up in Manchester now, aren't they? I don't know of any London series particularly. I mean, all the ones in Wales have kind of gone. Sorry?
Or Cardiff,
yeah, all the ones in Wales are gone, yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a loss, and I think that was very much my training ground, really. That's where I learned. I did do a lot of learning there, and I can't remember who it was. Somebody said it's better to learn to be fast and then sort of learn to slow down to sort of hone your craft, rather than the other way around. Sort of hone,
So you were fast and a bit ropey, and then you got better.
Yeah, well, no, I said knew how to cheat, knew how to make things look all right. But definitely when I got onto Fox, Mark Gustafson, the animation director, actually asked me to slow down. And I think it was because I wasn't putting enough detail in, maybe. Which was a really interesting position to be in. And I had to sort of go, maybe I'm being a little bit too quick here, and a bit, I could add a bit more detail and some more personality or whatever. So rather than just trying to get them from A to B as quickly as possible.
What do you prefer, commercials, or, because obviously that's a big part of your work. Most of your work is in that area now. What do you prefer that to the whole feature?
It depends on the commercial, but I think I generally go towards commercials just because of they're shorter projects and they're more varied. Whereas I find a feature, you're very much in it for the long haul, and I find that downtime a bit of a killer on a feature film, to be honest. I think a lot of people do, but it just drives me crazy. So I can't. I've done 2 full features and I've done little bits on other features, but I can't quite. I find it really difficult, the downtime, basically. Yeah,
we'll come back to this because we're going to show a little clip from.
Okay, great.
Run. So that's a good precursor to that. So yeah, my next question was: you've worked on some high-profile stop frame commercials. How do you keep in the loop with all of that? Because you're, like I say, you're kind of a popular choice and busy. So in the sort of facile world of commercials, how do you stay afloat?
Well, I as I said very early on, I've never really had like this void before. I do always get called up. I've got a really good relationship with Blink Inc. And I think I owe a lot of my commercial kind of success. I call it success to them, really, because there was a couple of directors like Noah Harris, Joe Mann, worked with Carl Bean, and like there's a bunch of people there that I've worked with a lot, and who have used me quite a lot.
Or abused you? Did you say?
Both, definitely both. Yeah, I mean, there's always some abuse there.
Yeah, good.
In some form. Yeah, I definitely have. Even though with my boyish looks, I still have a few grey hairs, and a few of them definitely have directors' names on.
Wow, you're naming your grey hairs.
Yeah, this one's Noah Harris. This one's Joe Mann.
Excellent. I wish I
but yeah,
had as
I don't
many
know.
hairs
I
to
haven't.
name as
I've
you.
been lucky enough. Sorry, go on.
I wish I had as many hairs to name as you. What are you going to say? Or have you finished?
I've just been fortunate that I haven't. I'm not really in the position that I have to chase jobs anymore. I just kind of get called up. So,
that is a very
which is an amazing position to be in. It's really, it feels it's great.
All the other animators are looking really daggers at you right now.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, the other thing I wanted to say was, so what you touched on it a bit before. What are you doing? Have you got any plans to get better at origami or play the cello now that you're at home a lot more?
I've been exercising quite a lot. So my boot camp moved to online, so that's been
boot
fun.
camp.
Boot camp, yeah, I'm a big boot camper.
Do you still do that? But is that with the people?
We do it via this now. We do it via Zoom.
Okay.
So, and then I'm going running a lot. But that's something I was always interested in. Any extra hobbies? I don't really know. I've kind of
sounds like you don't need to. Then you've got other things.
No. I think something that has been on my list for ages is just to try and make more of my own stuff. But I don't know. There is always something that stands in my way. I think before it was like I was always busy, so I never got the chance to. But I definitely have the chance to now.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I want to try and pursue, really.
Okay. So I wanted to show a clip. You've chosen a few clips to show. Yeah. So let's experiment. So I'm going to try and share.
Share screen.
Yeah. Is this a Simon? I've got a question from you. Ask Andy about his favourite job and why. That's actually a question that Tim, you wanted to ask as well, I think. Favourite job?
Favourite job? Well, interestingly, I that's one of the clips I sent to you.
Was it Salvation? No, it's the other one.
No, it wasn't Salvation. It was the BBC job by Elliot Deer, directed by Elliot Deer.
Okay, so we'll look at that in a minute.
Yeah, both myself, Dan Gill, Luke George did a bit on that, and also Tony Farquhar Smith. We all animated on that. It was mostly myself and Dan Gill, but who are you pointing to?
You just pointed at Anthony. It worked when you did that.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So we, I mean, that was just a really, really fun job. It was just a great crew really as well. And we just all had a lot of fun while doing it. And there wasn't too much overtime. And all the animation was just really, every single shot was a lot of fun. I think there wasn't anything that was filler. It was all killer, I should say. Yeah.
Okay.
I was jealous of the shots Dan was doing, and he was probably jealous of the shots I was doing, but we both really enjoyed the shots we were both doing as well. So,
okay, well, we'll show that in a minute.
Okay, great.
There's another question, but I'm just going to jump into that. I've got Salvation to show first of all.
Yeah, great.
I think it's. I've seen that before. I think it's like really stunningly beautiful film and really well executed.
Thanks.
How long did it take, and what's your take on what is it about?
What is it about?
Because I mean, I'm
It's
still
supposed to be so. It was kind of It originally was born from Noah Harris's mind, really.
Yeah.
And it was kind of 8 stages of life. So you had the kind of first kind of like almost like the Big Bang, and then you had life. So you had all these animals. Then there was a separate film called. So it was originally, I think, 8 different films.
Yeah.
And then we combined them all into that one film. So we were kind of fulfilling 2 briefs. One was for Village Green, who wanted these 8 films. The other one was for Random Acts, who wanted just one big film. So yeah, it was basically sort of going from the Big Bang, as it were, then life, sentience, and then there was what else we had? Decadence, oblivion. It was kind of everything sort of as part of life, and then it sort of ends in you had religion as well in there, and then it ends in sort of death, basically.
Yeah.
And then sort of second coming. So it had kind of a strange kind of like full circle kind of feel to it, and I think that's something that was quite nice about because all the objects you see are from car boot sales or charity shops, and we spray painted them, and so it was about sort of giving these things like a second life as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had a sort of quite an interesting sort of journey, that film.
And was it storyboarded completely like that, or was it?
No. So
you went.
So we had a general idea, but the film was largely influenced by what we found at these car boot sales, and I was almost kind of piecing together frames. So I would see something for sale and go, okay, that might work as an in-between between the golden apple and the giant acorn or whatever.
Yeah.
And so Noah very much took over the sort of art direction side of it, and I was more kind of the performance, really.
So you had a big hand in how it was created, and
yeah. So me and Noah, we had about £1,000 to spend on car boot stuff, and every Saturday for maybe a month, and then. Well, we put just every Saturday. We probably did weekdays elsewhere, but we used to drive to the big car boot sales. There was one in Uxbridge. There was one in Essex somewhere.
I've got the behind the scenes video.
Yeah.
What's how was it funded though? Simon question.
So it was mostly funded through Village Green, who are in partnership with Blink to some extent. So they have sorry, my clock's chiming. They have music directors on, which is that what you call them? Well, artists on their books, and so they were using these smaller films as to showcase their artists' work, basically.
Yeah.
Sort of their audio work. And then, as I said, Random Acts also gave us a little bit of money. Ali Albion, actually, I think she sorted out some of that funding for us. She was at Blink at the time.
Okay. And awards? Win some awards with that?
I don't know, actually. I was never told if we did. I know it was on a TED Talk at one point, and that was quite a nice thing. But I got Vimeo staff pick. I actually don't know about awards, to be honest. Yeah.
So that in itself must have brought quite a lot of fans to it from Vimeo.
I think so. I mean, it wasn't a staff pick on my Vimeo. It was more a staff pick on Blink's Vimeo. But yeah, it got a lot of interest, which was great. I mean, it was a real kind of passion project, that one. So Toby Howe shot that, and he both himself, myself and Noah. We weren't earning any money from it. We kind of wanted to put any money that we would earn from it into the project, really.
How long did it take?
Oh, you did ask. Yes, it was a 2-week shoot, I think. So that was 8 15-second films, which was quite an arduous task, really. There were some films that were easier to do because there was a lot of tabletop stuff, but obviously when there was anything suspended in the air with rigging, that's when it started to get tricky. But mostly we were able to keep it all tabletop, and I was able to smash through it quite quickly. I'd kind of blocked stuff out very briefly, literally using my hands to move things around, literally holding stuff in place. So I had a rough idea of what objects would follow which, and then I'd have a table of all these objects and just start putting them in. And but yeah, it was hard work, and I think both myself and Toby Howe had the most horrendous colds at the time, so that didn't help.
Wow. And it's just you animating?
It was just myself animating, and then Luke George animated the film called Industry, which was that crazy purpley pinky tabletop that turns around, and that was an amazing rig. That was lots of glass. With me and Noah bought lots of glassware for that would all sort of animate into each other, and Luke did a lot of solving on that, which was good.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to play this behind the scenes because it's quite interesting.
Okay, cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, that reminded me of all those smoke effects. So Noah, who vapes all the time, he obviously did a lot more vaping, and I just remember him sat on the steps outside the studio just with his head in his hands. He just thought he was going to throw up because he's obviously over vaped.
Yeah,
so it's a warning. Vaping's bad for you.
There's a load of mad low tech, well, complicated, but also some low tech sort of rigs in there.
So that massive overhead rig was kind of we kind of myself, Noah, and Toby kind of worked out this weird rig which was scaffolding and lazy Susans and what have you. And then weirdly posted it together, but Max Halstead kind of built it in his mad scientist type way. I mean, we were massively running out of kit on that job. We didn't have any DMX, and for those of you that don't know what DMX is, that kind of controls all the lights. So at one point, I had to just change the lights manually. We just didn't have the money to get it. So I had to change the lights manually. I had 6 different lighting setups to do each frame on one particular thing. And that, I mean, your brain is already trying to focus on the animation, never mind kind of what lighting setup number 3 has to be.
Yeah. Well, it's well done. It was a good project.
Cool, thanks.
So have you got plans do you see yourself sort of moving towards directing more projects?
Well, I have for years and years and years I've thought about doing more. And as I said, I'm not sure if it's just me procrastinating or just being a bit nervous about putting my own stuff out, but I have just generally been quite busy but working on other people's stuff, but now I have got all this time on my hands. I do feel like I need to sort of concentrate on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it is something that I've kind of started toying with recently. Like I started making something quite recently, just messing about with maybe making a puppet and thinking about like putting together like a kind of a simple film, because obviously I haven't got the likes of yourself or Gordon Allen, sort of production designer extraordinaire, or the amazing Yossel, I know he's listening, to put together all those other bits that create amazing production value. So I kind of have to put things together myself a little bit. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I might build a little studio space in my house.
But this is the tricky thing with us stop frame people, because we all benefit from and collaborate with each other on set. So now individually it's really hard to produce your own work unless you're of a kind that can. I mean, some people are more able to do that than others. But also, one thing I wanted to ask you, because you've done quite a lot of CG stuff. So in times like this, are you tempted to, because that's something perhaps you could do more of?
Yeah, so I have contact. I mean, it's not my main port of call really, and I have contacted a few production companies just to sort of just say, hey, I am here in a computer animation fashion.
Yeah.
But obviously they've got their go-to people, and they're not necessarily. I'm going to push it again, but it's just. I mean, it's just such a strange time, isn't it? Because we're so used to doing what we do in the studio, and then to sort of have that taken away, and you've kind of got to readjust and think, what am I going to do now? I need to sort of I need to sort of earn a salary, I guess, and so I'm definitely going to sort of push myself more into that arena.
But CG is not ever. I think I know the answer, but it's not like it would never become something you were interested in over.
No, I mean, I do like it. It's quite nice. It's almost a break away from doing studio stuff, or doing stop motion. It's quite nice to work in a clean environment in front of a computer, but I wouldn't be able to do that forever. I think I did a 3-week CG job once, and that killed me. It was just too much. Whereas I'd happily do a 6-week stop motion project, which I have done. I think John Lewis Bear and Hare was 6 weeks. BBC, the supporting act, that was a month. I mean, I really enjoy those kind of longer projects where it's more of a longer run rather than these like crazy sprints of adverts which need to be done yesterday, or a feature film that is just a huge long ultra marathon sort of thing. I do like those projects that are kind of longer. Like me and you did one together recently. Was it just before Christmas? The Standard Chartered one, which I think that the release date has been delayed, unfortunately. But that was I had a great time on that. The animation was great, the lighting looked great, the sets and puppets looked great. Andy Gent and his team did a really good job there, and
it was a brilliant crew.
I mean, but those are the jobs where it's they're fun because there's enough time to like really be creative. Whereas the shorter ones, they tend to you almost haven't got time to think really.
Yeah, although we didn't have much wiggle room on that shoot. We sort of got it done in the time, but there wasn't anything to spare, and we still went a little bit.
No, true.
A little bit late. Not bad though.
No, not awful late. Anyway, you were asking me about directing, and I kind of just completely went in a completely different way. But I would like to make more stuff, and I would like to do a bit more CG. I can't see that taking over my life at all, unless this is now our lives for the next 10 years, but hopefully not.
Hope not, because I can't think of anything to do apart from this.
No.
A question that you might refuse to answer this. I was just thinking, what's the worst? It might offend people that are here. What's the worst job you've ever done, and what's the worst object or puppet you've had to animate? You can think on that for a second.
It's the jobs where you're moving. They're not really the worst. They're just a bit boring. When it's just like, maybe it's a job like for an orange juice company, and you're rolling oranges around, and you're using actual oranges, so you're actually getting sticky. Or I once had to animate actual sausages, and so they're like actually greasy and disgusting. And well, there was a job, and I think this was one we did together. It was a Sainsbury's job where we had to cook a chicken with a hot air gun, and it was absolutely disgusting.
Luckily you had an assistant animator stroke DOP that could animate the second unit for you while you...
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, and it turned out his stuff was better than mine.
The rose petals.
Rose petals. You did a great job, Mel. Come on, you just had to drop that in, didn't you?
It was very easy. It was the easiest thing ever, but most
you nailed it though.
Turned it down.
That's the important thing. You nailed it.
Most DOPs would have told you to get lost.
Yeah. Not you, Mel.
Not me. No. So, okay, that's fine. That's a good answer. I've got another clip. I was going to do supporting act next. Mad. Brilliant. Yeah, that played back perfectly for me. So sorry if that must be really frustrating, Andy, if
it's all right.
Playing back properly. All that work.
All that work, and you've missed out half the frames. Fine.
People have to watch it in their own time. But actually that's good, because we did the CG chat, and that obviously had CG faces, right?
Yeah. So
what do you think about that? How did that work?
Wasn't hugely I thought the CG faces were fine, but I think some of the I mean there was a really big fast turnaround for those, and I mean I think that the people that did it for a really good price. But for me, because I think me and Dan Gill and the other animators put so much effort into the physical animation, there's a couple of faces in that which really make me cringe. Obviously I'm the sort of person that goes to things frame by frame, and there is the plan. There's just some weird face shapes in there, and with the plan for this next project I'm doing with Elliot Deer is a similar approach with the faces, like CG faces, but I am supposed to be involved in that, so I was kind of a bit more.
So that's something ideally, with the skill set you've got, you could at least give them guidance as to how you wanted it to look.
Well, not just guidance. I could actually do a lot of it as well. And it's. I mean, as I said, it was an amazing project to turn around, and I know Ben Lowell, who produced it, was really pulling his hair out because there just wasn't enough money to make something of that.
Do you know how much it cost? Out of interest.
You know what? I've got no idea. I really don't know. I know that we all did discounted rates. And there wasn't that much money for the CG faces. So, I mean, they did do a good job considering.
And how long was the shoot?
That was a month. So, I mean, and that was all on singles as well. So we're shooting all 24 or 25 frames, whatever it was. So obviously it takes a lot longer. But as I said, I think me and Dan Gill, we had such a good time on that.
So it was just
really.
Do you equate good time with difficult animation or challenging animation?
Challenging, yeah, definitely challenging. But it's not challenging to the point where things are like falling off or just. Yeah. It was just everything, because everybody on that was just very good at what they do. So, and understood everybody else. You weren't on it, no.
You've chosen all the projects you've chosen. I've taken no part in whatsoever, which worries me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. We'll talk about it later.
Jeez, I'm in trouble. Okay.
What was I going to ask you? It's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, so good and bad projects. So you like to be challenged, and you're bored when things are too easy. Is kind of the gist.
Yeah, definitely. I like all the technical stuff, but I find that as an animator, I get thrown into the more. I get casts doing more technical and sort of crowd shots, maybe, and technical stuff. And then the shots that I want to have more of a go at, which maybe I'm not as good at as other animators, is the kind of more character-based stuff. You know, the one character given a performance, and that's fine. Maybe I'm not as good as that. Like say, like Jason Storman or Kim Kong. Like they're really amazing at it, but that's stuff I really would like to get better at, really. But I'm not necessarily cast as that animator.
So what are you cast as? All right.
The more technical stuff, lots of things going on.
Yeah.
Big crowd shots.
But that can backfire, right? Because like, for instance, on the Sainsbury's commercial, the long one, and you had that really tough shot at the end with like 6 characters that had to walk.
They were all singing and dancing as they came out the door.
Through a door, and you got that because obviously Sam Fell thought that you could do that, you could pull that off. And
I mean,
do you suffer for it? Do you suffer for being able to do those kind of shots?
No, I also feel very fortunate that I do like those kind of shots. It's not that I don't like them. And on that particular advert, it was a lot of singing, lots of dancing, and there was lots of action. And I did enjoy the shots I was given.
Yeah.
There wasn't so much kind of personality-based stuff. I think it's more on when you're on a maybe on the few feature films I've done, I end up doing on like Paranorman. I did a lot of zombies walking through the forests or through alleyways, and I kind of hankered after doing more stuff with Norman, say, or Fantastic Mr. Fox. Did lots of dancing and digging, and I kind of would like to have done more stuff with Mr. Fox. But I don't. I mean, I feel really. I don't want you to get me wrong. I feel really massively fortunate with the stuff. With the opportunities I've had, basically, because I really, I've never in my wildest dreams would have thought that I would have been able to do the stuff that if I'd told my 11-year-old self what I would have done, like now, he'd be over the moon.
Yeah.
So as much as I kind of like complain about things, and you've probably heard me complaining before.
Never.
Never. I do feel really honoured and I just feel so fortunate that I'm doing this job that I wanted to do since I was running around the playground, basically.
That was one of my questions I forgot to ask you earlier. So like we're all creative people here, and like I guess in another life we could have been, you know, made other kinds of films or been a photographer or done something different creative. So why stop frame? How did that occur to you or happen?
I don't know. I know. I'm not sure when I got interested in animation. I remember staying up. I can't remember when they used to be on. Was it Formations? There was a thing on Channel
That's
4.
what I used to watch. But that was
And
before your time, wasn't it? That's before you were born, Andy.
No. I don't know. Well, I think it was going. It went on for a long time, didn't it? I don't know. I remember it going on, and then it just stopping. Sort of probably in my late teens, it kind of it got wrapped up.
Yeah.
But I remember watching that, and I remember seeing The Train Spotter by Jeff Newitt.
Yeah.
Have you seen that film? It's a great little film, and I mean, the animation's fine. It's nothing spectacular. He also did, Jeff Newitt, who we worked with on Sainsbury's, did Loves Me, Loves Me Not, which is a beautifully executed film. But that film, The Train Spotter or Train Spotting or whatever it's called, that was
okay.
I just loved it. I thought it was brilliant. And then I was a huge Wallace and Gromit fan as well, which definitely would have pushed me towards stop frame. And I think all the stuff as a kid, I mean, when I was really young, I was a huge Postman Pat fan, for example, or Trapdoor, or Charlie Chalk, and all those bits and pieces. So,
because there was
I was kind of always watching. I was always preferring those over 2D animated thing.
Anthony Beardy question. Which scene in a film that you worked on did you wish you had animated?
That's good. I mean, definitely on Fox, I was very envious of certain. I mean, the stuff that Tony did in Fox, actually in the Cider Cellar, I was quite jealous of. But then there was something again on Fox. Peyton Curtis did some stuff in the Science Lab, which was really beautifully done. I don't know if people remember that. I think I was always envious. This on Paranorman, there was stuff by Jeff Riley. He did some beautiful animation in there was a garden where they were playing fetch with a dog, and but it was at a time when I was stuck digging puppets or making the foxes dig or walking zombies. And I think that's another reason I prefer the commercials to features, because I do tend to get cast on those types of things, which is why on Isle of Dogs, when I got phoned up for the second time and asked to do the sushi shot, I jumped at it, because that was a one time when I was really happy to have been so involved in that particular shot on a feature.
But that leads perfectly into showing people the sushi shot from Isle of
Dogs. Almost like we're one person.
We didn't rehearse this or anything.
No.
But before we do that, I've got one more question that I wanted to ask you that's from Kat.
Okay.
And she says, Mr. Biddle, which puppets would you invite to your dream dinner? Why and what meal would you make for them? Can be puppets from any film. Good question.
That's a really interesting question, Kat. It's going to have to be some kind of like a big dinner, basically, and maybe I invite one particular character to each course. So I think it would, it would be drinks and nibbles at the start, wouldn't it? So maybe I'd get like a gin and... There's a film I like called The Tale of the Little Puppet Boy, which is a really awful film in terms of production value. Like, it's badly animated, the sets are terrible, the lighting's terrible, the puppet's terrible, but the story and the character and the personality are brilliant. And he's a very stressed out little puppet. So I think I'll have a gin and tonic with him, calm his nerves. Starter, I'm trying to think of... Okay, I tell you what, this was quite a pivotal thing. I think this was probably pivotal in most people's animation careers. The skeletons coming out of the ground in Jason the Argonaut. So I'd invite all the skeletons round.
You wouldn't want to have dinner with them, though.
No, I'd have the starter with them, and I'd put on some kind of like meaty smorgasbord because they obviously need some meat on their bones.
Oh, I thought you meant to kind of distract them from chopping you up.
No, I think we'd be friends. I think we'd be mates. I think we'd be fine.
That's lucky.
The main course, I'd go for. I think I'd cook a big roast dinner for Fred from Misha Klein's film, which is one of my favorite short films, because he just seems to drink alcohol, and I think he needs a nice big meal. Is this Pudding?
Pudding, yeah.
Pudding the Sandman by Paul Berry. Yeah. I really love that film. That was another film that I loved when I was growing up. And so it needs to be something eyeball-y, I think, because that's very important in the film. It's like lychees, maybe on some kind of like coffee dessert, so you don't fall asleep. If this doesn't make sense, you need to watch the film. A cheese board, obviously, with Wallace from Wallace and Gromit. And I think I'd finish it all off with a coffee with Robbie the reindeer. Just because I think he'd be a fun kind of person to chat to over coffee.
If a bunch of puppets showed up at my house and something to eat, I'd slam the door in their face. They'd be freaked out.
Really? Well, you're just not as nice a person as me, maybe.
No, I know. We know this. Okay, very good. So we're running over time because I did say this is going to last an hour, but I presume I don't see any reason, like, unless anyone's got anything pressing to go and do. We'll just.
I guess they can just leave.
They can leave also. In fact, some people have left, and I'll be writing to the meeting. Yeah, we've lost about 8 people. It's not bad. So yeah, I've got the Isle of Dogs sushi scene to show. And it's lucky because Anthony's also.
I just want to say, so I did the first two-thirds of this, and Tony Farquhar-Smith did the last bit with the octopus tentacle.
Okay.
And I should also say that Tobias Foraker did a lot of testing on this and a lot of R&D, because I mean, without what he kind of put into this,
he's nearly smiling when you said that.
He's nearly smiling. I can't ignore Paul Tobias because he put so much work into this. So
it's official. Okay. I was really glad you chose that, Andy, because it's like a kind of microcosm of the madness of the film, just in that single shot. And when you see the split screen with the process involved, and I know from being there and chatting to you about it and talking to Tony and Tobias at different times during the shoot, I wasn't on that shot, but I knew of it, obviously, because it came up in rushes every day, like another, few seconds or massive cutback and would happen. And it just was completely mad, and the Wes antics and emails and all the rest of it. So maybe, just talk us through it. Like, how did you get involved in that from the beginning?
So as I said, Tobias was originally he was the animation supervisor on Isle of Dogs, and he started testing, but in true Wes fashion, Wes wasn't really given any kind of positive replies, and so Tobias would do another block through or some more testing. And
do you think that's because he didn't know how to do it?
Yeah, he had no. He basically wanted, and I still don't think any of us really knew what this meant, but he basically wanted it to be both authentic and never seen before. So he wanted the sushi master to look at it and go, wow, that's a new way of doing it. So he wanted it to be recognized as something that a sushi technique that was authentic, but that had never been done before. So it didn't, they're very contradictory statements, really. And so we had all this horrific footage of these poor animals being chopped up, this real footage. I know Tobias had many sleepless nights over some of the stuff. I refused to watch it all, I think. But
animals being like innards been pulled out of them alive and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much. I think he references this poor. Yeah. Anyway,
Tony's comment.
What did he say?
I've seen things I cannot unsee.
I will never unsee those things. Yeah. So, and then because Tobias was originally doing stuff in plasticine, which you saw in that big split screen thing, and he also did stuff in pixelation where you use your hands just to try and get through it, to see if we could sort of get something that Wes would go, yeah, I like that bit, but he almost wants to, as you have found out through working with him, he kind of wants to see the finished article, but then several different choices, but as a finished piece.
So he's doing things that like you shouldn't really be allowed to do with stop frame.
Exactly. And then
changing your mind constantly, for one thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think production were really trying hard to try and push this shot through. And it turned out that Wes wanted the animator Brad Schiff to animate it, who is the animation supervisor at Laika. Obviously, Brad couldn't be involved because he was on, I think, Kubo at the time. So in the end, they sold to Wes. Brad could be like a remote sushi supervisor, as it were, and they could bring on Andy Biddle to animate it. And he went for that. So
because you had like a relationship from Fox that
the States, yeah. So, but then again, also Wes didn't want production in the UK to be involved in the shooting of it. So it was a weird pilot kind of unit, where I was just talking to the Jeremy, the executive producer, Wes, Brad, and then I was involved in this little 4-way conversation. But it just got very complicated because with features, there's obviously a chain of command, which is very useful because so everybody knows exactly what they're doing. And this kind of went a bit off piste, really.
Yeah.
And it became very complicated because Brad was 8 hours behind us as well. So he wouldn't be seeing things until 3:00 in the afternoon, our time. So it was a very complicated shot in that respect. And I did get cut back by Wes, but then I also got cut back by Brad, which was particularly painful to be cut back by 2 directors.
But did Brad check with Wes that the cutback was approved before he did it, or was he just
no? Brad would say, I think we need to go back here, and then Wes would just go, okay, because Wes just saw it that Brad was kind of running the, because he wanted Brad to do it. He almost wanted, I was kind of almost Brad's puppet.
A puppet moving a puppet moving a puppet.
A puppet moving a puppet. That's what it felt like. So I thought I was being brought on to kind of do this shot, and it was fun when I was actually animating it. But yeah, in those instances where I got cut back by almost two directors, or I had two conflicting viewpoints from two directors, then it became quite confusing. And I think Tony finally understood what to do, because I think I was getting confused because I was trying to adhere to both of the directors, whereas it seemed that the best thing to do was just to listen to what Brad wanted, because if Brad was happy, then Wes was happy, apparently.
And then it reminded you that you didn't want to work in features anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, then I ran away screaming. But no, I mean, while I prefer commercials, it is still really nice to leave some kind of to leave your mark on a feature, to say, oh, I was involved on Isle of Dogs, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
It's still a nice thing to do. There is hard work, but
yeah,
I think I would have been really sad if I hadn't been involved.
But you were in a more enviable position than I was, because you could just kind of say, well, I can only do 4 weeks here and 2 weeks there.
Yeah. Well, I originally did 3 months from January to March, where I kind of was doing little bits and pieces of nothing particularly interesting.
Yeah.
It might have been Tracy in her bedroom just with her dictaphone or something like that. So that's the reason I came back to do the sushi shop, which was in the summer. And yeah, it was exciting. It was a fun shot to do, but all those politics around and not being sort of under the production's wing was particularly hard.
Yeah, but well, maybe there's a different way to do features. Who knows? Like, I mean, they're all different, aren't they? I've done a few, and they've all been unpleasant at times, but in different ways. maybe there's
a month on Ma Vie De Courgette, and that was a lot of fun. That was a really nice film.
And how?
It was a much smaller crew.
Why was that easier?
It wasn't easier. It was just, I think it was just a smaller, because it was a smaller crew. It was an easier kind of ship to steer, maybe. And the hours were nice as well. They weren't killing you, like sort of you weren't doing 10, 11 hours a day.
You didn't have to buy your lunch from Tesco's and
didn't have to, but no, exactly.
That gets boring after a couple of years.
It does, yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, the food on commercials is infinitely better as well. So,
yeah. Okay. All good. I think we're coming to a natural end, if you ask me.
Great. Okay.
And thanks for everyone for sticking around so long. It's been really nice to see you all. I did have someone I was talking to lining up for next week, but I'm not sure whether they're going to be well enough to do it. But I will, if everyone wants me to do another one, I'll do another one, and I'll announce like who it will be. And you can also email me and make suggestions and comments and tell me where I went wrong. I might actually know some of where I went wrong with pressing buttons and stuff like that. I'm sure it could be a bit slicker. I was going to make a special award. I don't think I've seen Brian Hansen turn up, because I was going to give him an honorary award because he actually turned up the earliest out of everyone. He arrived at the meeting on Friday, and I had a message to say Brian Hansen's in the waiting room. So I was going to give him an award, but I haven't seen him, so I'll have to find out. I guess somewhere it tells me who's been, but I think this whole thing's recording, so I can always upload it onto YouTube or something for people that missed it if they want. Cool. All right. Great to see you all. Now the difficult part is finding the buttons to cut you all off. So yeah, there'll be another like Fumbling.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, who's
No.
that?
Thanks, Malcolm. Thank you.
No, Chris, pleasure to see you.
And well done, Andy. Really good, mate. Very interesting. Thank you. And we do want some more.
Okay.
Unmute everyone. Let everyone say the same thing. They're actually typing it. You can't see it.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Do more, please. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great now. Well done.
Malcolm.
Thank you. Oh.
Thanks a lot, guys.
I do. If I unmute you, you're just it's turning into a riot already. Unmute.
Oh.
There you go.
This is what my tutorials are like at the moment at college.
I can't work out if they're saying more or bore.
Yeah. I know.
Oh,
no.
Get a better guess.
Don't leave me.
All right, cool. I'm going to press end.
Ciao, thanks, Mel.
Soon. Take care.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Yeah.
Cheers,